Hello friends, Clage back with part 3 of the Rapid Pursuit Inferno difficulty guides, and today we are going to talk about the twins. And for my salt, this is easily the most difficult and most obnoxious of these fights to get all of the goal missions out of. This is a fight that's kind of unlike any other in PGR. If you've never fought the twins before, they have a very unique mechanic where they can effectively proc matrix, and they can do it multiple times in a row depending on how you interact with them. So there's a lot to figure out in this fight, and they also want you to not get hit by their matrix attacks more than once for one of the missions, and not get hit more than 3 times period on Inferno to clear. And this one's a bit of a tall order, and it's really, really obnoxious sometimes. So let's go through a look-see at this one, and I'll kind of walk you through it, how we handle it, and hopefully help you get all the missions out of it. So just like the other fights, you can kind of script the opening of this one to always more or less be the same. As long as you're being consistent, you can kind of proc their first scripted attack pretty much every single time. So how I like to do this is, since we're using Lucia Plume and Lee Entropy, these are older characters. If you're a newer player, you're probably not super familiar with either of these characters, but it's important to note that they operate on very old style mechanics in PGR. Neither of them have actual time stop, which doesn't particularly matter for this fight since the timer isn't all that important in any way, shape, or form. But it is notable that you do not actually freeze them in place when you do your ultimates, quote unquote. Like, they don't really get to take action, but you don't completely freeze time either. So there's some weird quirks with this. But the easiest way to start this fight is going with Lucia. Spend your 3 ping that you'll get. It'll be a random color. The orbs are always completely random for this fight. So go in, spam your 3 ping. This will automatically proc matrix, and will let you use another 3 ping. So find wherever your single orb is if you have it. Sometimes you won't have that option because orb RNG with Lucia Plume, it was a very real thing, and it's still kind of real in this fight, but we deal with it. So proc your matrix orb. This gets you into her ultimate mode. And her ultimate mode is basically you need to build up to 2 separate 3 pings to max out her ultimate gauge and get the full damage off her ultimate. And you need to do it before the power gauge runs out on the core passive. This is on a set timer. So what we do is we activate our ultimate. They're still in matrix stun, so you can just wail on them with basic attacks a bit because all of Lucia's basics are completely dodge cancelable. So if you just spam regular attacks at them a bunch after this first matrix proc, eventually one of them will come in with a plunge attack. In this case, the sister goes up first, so I just watch for this to start and dodge out of the way. This gets me another matrix proc. From here, I'm going to spend a matrix ping and then another 3 ping. This puts the ultimate online, and we can immediately go into ult. I'm just going to go ahead and cast it and get them down below 80 bars. Once you bring them below 80 bars, they're going to do a scripted attack, and if you do this opening sequence right, it should always be the same. So what I like to do is they start this attack that the brother is lining up to do, where he's going to slam his fist on the ground and create the field that pushes you away from them. This doesn't actually have a hitbox, so you can come in, spam a few basics with Lucia just to build up an orb, and then swap to Lee. So ideally swap to Lee before you get pushed out, because what you want to do is have Lee come in. His bring in is his blue orb, and this creates a stasis field on the ground, and this is not affected by their ability to proc matrix or slow time. So if you proc this right out the gate, because I was being pushed out, Lee was facing the wrong way, so it put it over here, so we're not going to get much out of it. Ideally, you do this, and this stasis field will be right on top of both twins, and they'll eat the entire damage of it as they go up and start their matrix proc attack. So this is always scripted exactly the same way. Just don't be doing anything once you see them rise into the air, and then you just sit. And you wait, let them do their little saunter, let them show off for a little bit, and then they're going to go 1, 2, 3. As soon as you see them hit the peak of their jump in the air, you can hit dodge. If you wait till this and hit dodge, you will always dodge the plunge attack. So this gives us matrix, and it's going to be random what orbs you have. So because I have a blue orb online and my blue orb is my single orb, I want to use this as my Matrix proc. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delay doing anything because oftentimes if you attack immediately after you dodge their Matrix attack, you're going to re-proc Matrix Collapse and they're going to swing at you again. And we don't want that right now. Later in the fight, it becomes an unavoidable aspect because they're programmed to do it. But early in the fight, there's no reason to subject yourself to it. So in this case, I'm going to wait for a while, let this run down so they don't counterattack, because when you hit them with anything, they're going to leap back to the center of the arena, more or less. And because we want the stasis field to actually hit for maximum hits, there's no sense in hitting them with that here because it would put the stasis field where I am, where Lee's sitting right now, and they're going to just jump away from it and it won't do anything. So I instead knock them out, stun them with a basic attack, and then as soon as they leap back, now I use my Matrix proc, and it goes on the brother, and he's going to stand there for a bit. So this gives me time to let that whittle him down, and in the process, I'm going to go ahead and spin my other orbs, call my QTE in the process, and usually after they both go back to the center like this, after you've gotten through the first Matrix collapse, they're just going to kind of chill. This usually lets you just kind of spam some basics from Lee and rebuild up orbs for a while, and you just wait for them to finally decide what they're going to do. So in this case, the brother comes in with another plunge attack, so I dodge, get my Matrix. I go in, hit him with the Matrix ping while I have it, and this triggers another Matrix collapse attack from him. How these always work is if you trigger their Matrix collapse where you hit them and they go into the slowdown where you're stuck in Matrix and they're going to counterattack, just make sure you only do a single input anytime you think you're going to proc Matrix collapse. And basically, it will happen most often after you have dodged and given yourself Matrix and then try to counterattack. That is the number one way that they're going to do their own Matrix collapse. And if you input too many things, if you mash basic a bunch or you mash a bunch of orbs, what's going to happen is you're going to be stuck and locked out of hitting dodge for when they actually come in and try and swing on you. So just always do a single attack and then wait. And in this case, since I know he's going to set up for the Matrix collapse attack, I wait. In this case, watch for him to rear the fist back. As soon as you see him go back like this, you're clear to hit dodge. So I'm already hitting dodge. This gets me away. Get another Matrix proc. I wait for a bit. And then this gives him the stun. If you swing early there is a real chance he's going to proc a second Matrix collapse and try and swing on you again. So again, make sure you only hit a single input, wait and confirm what they're doing before you swing on them again. In this case, this gets me ultimate, and I see as this ultimate's going on, I notice that she has leaped into the air and is going to do a plunge attack. This actually works out super well timing-wise for me because now I get to just take Lee's ultimate and hit both of them, which does way more damage than just hitting one. And since I know she's coming down with a plunge, I just dodge away, and I'm going to go ahead and swap to Lucia and utilize the Matrix proc with her because she'll still have Matrix for herself when it's done. So I go in, use one of my orbs. This triggers Matrix collapse on the sister. So I wait till she jumps back. When you see her crouch down and go into the action hero landing pose here, you can go ahead and hit dodge. This actually ended up a really funky situation because what happened here is since I already had Matrix going on, this causes the slowdown to go both ways. Usually she would rush in much quicker here. So I go ahead and activate Lucia's ultimate because I know I have time, and then I wait, let her come in, and then dodge at the last second to proc another Matrix. So here I'm going to use the Matrix ping. This procs Matrix retaliation from her again, so I wait. She rushes in, I'm hitting dodge. I dodge this one. This gives me another Matrix proc. So I use that, and now I have ultimate online. She comes in for one more Matrix retaliation, which we dodge, and now I can let go and let Lucia's ultimate rip. From here, swap back to Lee because he's back on cooldown and I want to have Matrix on tap at all times. The real key points of this fight are swapping whenever you can to get a second Matrix proc available because Matrix does not transfer between characters. So if you, like you just saw, I procced Matrix with Lee, took him off the field, and Lucia still had Matrix online because she hadn't actually procced it. That's one of the big keys of this fight. Not overextending when you trigger Matrix collapse is also super important. The other thing to really practice in this fight is get in the habit of always rotating your camera so both twins are in vision. If you ever lose sight of one of them, you'll often not get a chance to see what attack they're spooling up. And if you miss some of those visual cues, you're almost certainly going to get hit, or you're just going to have to take a blind guess on a dodge, and that's not where you want to be in this fight. So always try to keep both of them within your field of vision at all times. So I come in, they do the non-matrix double attack here, so I just go ahead and dodge immediately. This attack is super fast. If they do the dual attack where they leap back, let me go back a few frames here. So when you see them go into this pose, and it's not on a matrix collapse, this is where you got to be ready to dodge ASAP, because as soon as you see them start rushing in, you need to be hitting dodge now, because this gets here quick. So they rush in, and that attack goes. So that's when you have to kind of preemptively dodge. If you wait too long, you will get smacked. So get my matrix, go ahead, wait for a little bit, get a plunge attack and dodge. Once you get them down to lower health, if you see one plunge happen, be ready to dodge a second. So in this case, I wait, see her teleport, dodge again, get out of the way, take a few basics because they're just chilling. Swap to Lucia so we can have Matrix on proc. This time she's going to do the double V laser. The easiest way to deal with this attack is just to run away as far as you can, stay within the two beams. It's perfectly fine to stay in the middle of this and wait for them to get close, and then dodge away as soon as you see her come in for the air kick. If you want to be cheeky, the other thing you can do is run up next to the laser beam and matrix dodge through it and just get out of dodge. That is a perfectly viable way to do it. I like to do this because it lets me hit them with a matrix attack right away. And if they decide they want to keep doing matrix collapse on me, I just dodge again, get another matrix, hit him again. This triggers another matrix collapse, but this one works out. If you trigger a matrix collapse with Lucia's whirlwind while you're in ultimate mode with her, this hitbox is active forever. So what's going to happen is he's going to go ahead and rush in for his attack. You still have to dodge this. It's not going to keep him from doing the attack, but as long as you dodge, what's going to happen is the whirlwind hitbox is going to take effect as soon as you dodge, and he's going to get smacked. In this case, this guard breaks him. I get my ultimate online, so I go ahead and take it. So cast ultimate, this gets them down to 20 bars, so we're getting down to the end of this fight here. Dodge another plunge attack, this gives Lee matrix, so I fire, this triggers her matrix collapse. Dodge the flash kick, get another matrix, take it. Dodge the next one. Spin some basic attacks while we wait to see what they're going to do next. They were very patient here, which was very kind. So this worked out really well. I go ahead and get ultimate online, but then the camera decides to just say, F you, buddy, which I was not terribly happy about. Luckily, I happened to kind of see which side they were on, so I tilt the stick right and aim the orbital beam this way, and I'm able to get at least some damage out of it. As soon as this ends, I'm going to go ahead and bring Lucia back in, so I have Matrix available. They're coming in with the non-matrix dual attack, so I dodge, get my matrix, wait for a little bit. This triggers another matrix collapse, dodge that, spin my orb, dodge the plunge, and then I'm just going to use the baby ultimate. There's no need to get online because they were almost dead, and that's a wrap on the fight. Managed to do this no hit, mostly because they were very cooperative in this fight. Sometimes they are not going to be very cooperative in this fight, and there's a couple attacks that I've recorded in other runs just so you can see how to deal with them, because frankly, they didn't do any of the truly obnoxious attacks in this fight. I got very, very lucky, but a no-hit is a no-hit. I'm not going to not take it, but the next one to really watch out for, I think this happened at about 50 seconds. So this attack here is probably the single most annoying one in the whole fight. So if you see her do the pirouette and then start shooting into the air, you need to leave. You need to start getting away from both of them ASAP, because this attack is where she's going to shoot arrows into the air and then red circles are going to appear on the ground. Thanks for using red circles on a completely red stage, by the way, Kuro. Real helpful there. The only way to deal with this attack is there's one of two options. I get lucky and proc probably the more efficient of them, but as soon as I see these arrows, it's time to go. So I dodge, and then what you can do is basically try and dodge right as one of these is going to hit you, so you proc matrix. And if you do this, just leave. Like, just don't try to do anything cute. Don't try to rush in and get a free attack. Just leave, because if she does the double set of arrow rain, you're going to have to run and dodge again. If you don't proc matrix, do a double dodge, run for a couple seconds, do another double dodge, and just get as far away from both of them as you humanly can. Because the brother's going to come in and do this thing where he pulls the fist into the ground, and it's super obnoxious to deal with. So that's how you deal with the arrow rain attack. That is the most obnoxious one, in my opinion. If you get clipped, it's probably going to be 2 or 3 hits and your run's probably dead for getting the Inferno mission done. So that one is super annoying, and it's very, very... I don't really feel consistent in dodging it. Anytime I get through that attack and I didn't get hit, I kind of just feel like I got lucky. So don't feel bad if the arrow rain wrecks your run. It's the worst attack by far. The other attack they didn't do that is also worth looking at, and I think this happened at about 50 seconds again, ironically. So, this early? Yeah, so this one. Okay. So when you see her jump into the air and she's going to shoot the bow at the ground, this is your cue to just stand still. Because what's going to happen is she's going to shoot the arrow, and you're going to see a tracking projectile comes up. This is designed to scare you and make you want to dodge away from this. This is one of those attacks where dodging outside of this circle will get you hit by shockwaves. If you stay within the circle, nothing hits you. So just stay in the middle of this circle and then wait. The brother will go up and do a plunge attack, so wait for him to hit the peak of his jump. And then as he's coming down, dodge. That'll give you your matrix. The attack ends, and now you can go ahead and proc matrix retaliation like you would normally. Pardon me. Those are far and away the two most obnoxious attacks. The circle is not that bad because once you know the gimmick, it's pretty easy to dodge. The arrow rain is definitely a huge pain in the butt. The other one that I don't think I got a recording of, which is unfortunate, if you guard break the brother, right, and he falls all the way on the ground, sometimes he'll do the thing where he does a very slow rise up, where he almost kind of does like the Undertaker rising from the coffin kind of bit. If you see him doing that, get away from him, because at the very end of that raise up, he does a very tiny shockwave that doesn't go very far, and it has almost no animation, but it does have a hitbox. It will count as a hit against you. So if you see him doing the slow rise, just get away from him. Like that is your goal the whole way. So that pretty much covers everything you need to know about this fight. This one is hard. You're going to fail. It's going to take multiple attempts. Don't feel bad. I had to re-record attempts for about an hour to even get that no-hit recording to actually go over the fight with. And that was after I'd already cleared out the missions prior. So this one takes some practice and just getting used to seeing what their animations are and what your retaliatory tactic is to deal with it. Also, keep in mind, you can do the mission separately. Like I've said in the other videos, if you want to focus on one where you only focus on not getting hit and you just make sure you never proc more than one of their matrix retaliations, you can do it that way. And then you can do a separate one where you go for, not getting hit by any of their matrix retaliations. If you happen to take a couple hits, but you don't take 3, you can redo it. More than likely, if you have a good fight, you're just going to get both out of the way. So keep that in mind for trying to clear out the last bit of the missions. But if you can complete this one, you can complete anything in Rapid Pursuit. This is far and away the most difficult one, in my opinion. Might be different for some people. Everyone has different problems with different fights. It's no different from like bosses in Souls games. Sometimes a certain boss gives you a hell of a time, and your homie is just like, I don't know, I one-shotted that. It wasn't bad. But this is one I think this fight gives everybody fits because it's very, very specific in its mechanics, and we're playing much older characters that don't have nearly the amount of iframes to abuse that other characters do. And it's not a surprise that they made this a duo fight, because if they would have given us a single character that doesn't have a lot of iframes to abuse, this would have been almost impossible to get the missions done. So if you got any questions, if there's any strats you use that I didn't go over, feel free to leave those down in the comment. I'm happy to pin those, help other people out. But this is the one I suspect most people will stumble on for getting all the rewards out of Rapid Pursuit. So hopefully this helps you get the twins out of the way. And if I mention, I can't remember what I did. I had to re-record because I had a corruption thing happened, because of course I did. So I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but fighting this was actually pretty useful because, well, the lore video I'm working on is in fact, a chapter that might involve the twins. So practicing how to deal with this for when I'm going to do the no interface, fancy fight that I'll edit together for the video, this probably wasn't the worst use of my time. So anyway, yeah, that's going to do it for this one. I will try and have the final guide up here in the next day or two, and that'll cover all of Rapid Pursuit. And then hopefully I'm getting test server access here very soon, and I can start working on the next character guide. Lore video is absolutely not going to be ready till February. I do apologize for that. I've just been very busy getting ready for my commentary work at the end of the month, so lore vid's going to be a little bit later than I would have liked, but once I get through January, I don't have any real obligations other than my usual making PGR content and streaming for basically another 4 months. So I should be able to knock out a lot of work after that. So anyway, as always, appreciate you all. Thanks for all the likes, comments, subscribes. Are always appreciated. They're never necessary. And yeah, if you got questions, leave them down in the comments. So best of luck on this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.